Sharon Roberson is my guest tonight, president of the YWCA of Middle Tennessee and Nashville. We're talking about the rise in domestic violence due to both the tornado and the coronavirus that we've experienced. The virus all across this world. The tornado that happened here in March caused an immediate spike in calls to the YWCA. Sharon, once again, thank you so much for being just a wealth of information throughout the past 45 minutes or so. We have a couple more minutes to take questions. I think it's important that we reassure someone who may be listening or watching this that something's not wrong with them if they are the victim of abuse.
Yes, I think that everyone needs to understand a couple of things. One of them is, it's not you, it's the other person. You cannot be the perfect person. You cannot be a person that if you looked better, if you cooked better, if you kept the house neater, there's no excuse for you being abused. That is not acceptable. Also, it's very harmful for your children to see this. And so I think that people need to take some of that off themselves. It is not your fault. And you have to make sure that you take care of you. And there have been so many women in your situation that have come out the other end much better off. It's just that they have to take that initial step. And that's one thing the YW is here to do. We're there to take that burden off you and to help you make that move and make that step to get to a better life. And you should not have to, nor is it acceptable to you to be in an abusive situation. It is never acceptable for a man to hit a woman under any circumstances. It is just not acceptable. And although there are men that are victims of domestic violence, it is a very small percentage. You have to realize here in Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, based on national data, we are 5th in the nation at which men kill women. Number 5, not a good statistic. I know this exists. I know that's the facts, but it's still heartbreaking that we are not taking this seriously.
No, it's pretty disgusting actually to be 5th on the list, 5th in the nation.
I know.
Oh.
And you know, and it's very unpopular to say, but guns play a huge role in domestic violence, and we can't dance around that. I know that there's a place our society feels that's necessary, but guns contribute to deaths in domestic violence.
I wonder how often you hear when women walk into the Weaver Center and they say, I never thought I would end up here.
All the time, all the time. They will always say, in fact, what's even more heartbreaking is those that say, I saw my father or I saw my mother's boyfriends do this to her. And I had said I would never take that. I would never do that. And they're in the same situation because that's a cycle. It's cyclical. It's in families, and it continues until we put a stop to it.
And you mentioned it's so very important because children, just whether they are the object of that abuse or not, they are absorbing all of it, and they can become part of the cycle.
Yes. I mean, they learn behaviors, and it's hard because you've heard the old adage, I'm becoming my parents.
Yeah.
And whether that's good or bad, the behaviors that you grow up seeing, you grow up mimicking, and you end up with those same behaviors. Your response to certain actions becomes striking out in a violent fashion.
I try to put myself in the shoes of a woman who is sitting at home watching this or who knows about the Weaver and saying, I know I need this help, but I don't want to take my kids out of their school district. I don't want to take them away from their friends or their activities. So if I leave, do we have to leave all of that behind? How do you all counsel that?
Actually, if you come into the Weaver Center, your children with the help of metro school systems under normal circumstances would be able to go back to their regular schools. There's actually a program that facilitates that as part of the metro school system. The issue is, will they be safe if they are placed into going back to where they traditionally go? But that is an option. I will say this, we work very closely with the children so that when they are with their friends, they know what to say. In fact, many of the children just see this as almost like an apartment we've moved to, and they don't often have a clear understanding of exactly what this place is, and we work very hard to shield them as much as possible. Some of them have seen so much, you have to have a really intensive work with them to help them work through those things, because anger in children is very difficult to overcome, and we work very hard in order to make them understand that they are not at fault. They did not cause the things that they've seen, but we're here to make sure that they can build a level of resilience and do better going into the future. And it is absolutely uplifting to see children evolve while they're at the Weaver Center into really being more confident, caring individuals that do not see violence as the first solution to any problem or frustration they have.
And this may seem silly to some when I ask this question, but it is a concern that I know that victims worry about are their animals, because those animals are often held as like a negotiating point by the abusers. I'll kill the animal. What do you do?
We actually, that is on our list of things that we are working on. We've been working on for a number of years. We've kind of gotten sidetracked most recently because of the pandemic, but we're actually raising funds to have an animal shelter on the premises of the Weaver Center for pets who are also victims of domestic violence. We are looking now at a federal grant, which, believe it or not, the federal government has solicited grants for domestic violence shelters to have something built for their pets. In addition to that, in the short run, we have fostering programs where we help the pets that are part of the family to be fostered, because pets are truly at danger, and it breaks my heart when you leave. Yeah. So if you're and you're concerned about a pet, we'll work with our fostering friends to help that pet stay safe too.
Sharon, thank you so much for joining us tonight, getting the word out. We're going to show those numbers again as we go to break and as we come back. So if someone is in crisis, they can reach out and get help. Thank you for all you do and all your staff does for this community.
Well, thank you so much.
We're glad to have you tonight. We will be right back.